Hi, Jeff. Well, first of all, let me explain why I'm responding to this video so late. I just ran into your video when I was watching one of the people that I'm subscribed to, and your video was in the related section, so I thought I'd check it out. Well, the reason I wanted to respond too is because you made a lot of valid points about they're not giving money to them directly, but they're basically there is other ways to help them, like going to Wendy's and things like that if they're really hungry. And how your friend offered to take the person to go get their prescription, and sadly enough he was honest and he said, no, that's, he really just wanted some beer and stuff, and sadly that is the case. First, before I get into the whole explaining and answering your question, let me tell you how I even know these things. I shared a video. I don't know if it posted or not to your video as a video response showing some pictures. Some of them I got from the internet. Some of them I took myself from our own. Well, we have it as a ministry. It is a Christian organization. It is a homeless shelter, but it's more than that. My in-laws started it nearly 9, maybe 10 years ago, I think. On that video, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is a link to their website. You could check it out and learn even more about the different things they're doing for the people in the community that are struggling financially, what all is going on. But I'm going to share a little of that with you now to answer your question. But my husband works there full time. It is a Christian organization, so we don't accept government money. Otherwise, we couldn't do that. We couldn't share the gospel with people, and that was the main objective for POP, was not only helping people financially with their, with their problems and getting off the streets and off of drugs and things, but to also share the gospel in the process. So we are Christians, and we are doing what we can, our small part, and we run on private donations, so how much we're able to do is depending on our community and the people that donate money and items for our thrift store and things like that. And we are open 24/7 all year round. We don't help just in the holidays. Sadly, that is part of the problem. A lot of the people, it's traditional that people are more giving during Christmas holidays and things like that, and they forget that there's homeless out there all year round, not just at Christmas time. They're there and they need help all year round, and then they feel a lot, or like you said, they're getting tired of giving money because they're faced with these people, wanting a dollar here and there, and they know that they're not always spending on the money on food and the necessities that they need. They're spending it on drugs and alcohol and things like that. And Pop and my husband both have struggled with drug and alcohol themselves. My father-in-law was also from a young teenager. I believe he was a runaway. So he spent a lot of time on the streets himself, and that's why he felt that this was what he was called to do as a Christian, was to help people in such situations. The way that we do ours, we feed 3 meals a day every day. We feed them breakfast, we feed them lunch, and we feed them dinner. They can check in and stay the night for up to 15 nights a day. A lot of that, if Pop had his way, it would be, they wouldn't have restrictions on how many days they could stay. During like the Christmas holidays or whatever, Pop tries to do some leniency with it, but he gets a lot of gruff from the state because there's state laws, and the state laws affect us on what we can and cannot do a lot of times too, from what I understand. Um, so they have up to 15 nights. Then they move on to the next shelter and they say so many nights there, and so on and so on, um, until they run out of shelters they can go to or whatever. And but those of them that are used to it, they've learned that um, what would you call it? Um, they've learned the system enough that they know to come stay with us 15 nights. They move on to the next place and stay however many nights that that place allows them to stay, and then they move on to the next shelter. And if they're able to, they go to these day labor places and they work a day or two and save up money for hotel rooms for the nights that they don't have a shelter they can go to. They've done spent up all their days for the month or whatever. Um, so sadly enough, there are people who, like you said, they don't want to go to a shelter because um, they're at our shelter we do not allow drugs in there at all. Pop and them are very strict about that. There's no drugs, no alcohol. If they are if they are already drunk, they are not allowed to come in for the night. Only because you got to understand there are so many people there. There, it is basically like going into a public place. Um, there's a lot of people there, so we do have rules, and a lot of them do not want to follow the rules. They'd rather be out there in the streets than follow any rules. Um, we also have rules because there's families that we do have that come in there, like you said, who have, families that come in circumstances and have had to be there with children. So we do it for their safety as well, for the safety of everyone involved. Um, so they do stay the night. We have bunk beds, as you'll see in the video I posted, um, titled "What Are You Doing to Help?" I think is how I titled it. There's bunk beds. We feed them 3 meals a day. We also have a drug and alcohol program where they have AA meeting classes and things like that. And while they're on the program, they work at the shelter. When they get free room and board, um, means they get to stay, there free nights, and then they also get, food, of course, the 3 meals. And so they have all their necessities taken care of. In the meanwhile, they're not only getting off the drugs and alcohol, but they're also learning how to take care of themselves again. A lot of them don't know how to cook, or they don't know how to even sweep or mop a floor. They've become basically like kids because they've wasted their life away on these drugs and alcohol. We try to do as much as we possibly can, and like I said, we are still limited though by how much the community donates, and also by the state laws. So, and I wanted to share that with you because I know it does look very discouraging. I've seen some of the comments that were posted, and as far as my church that we go to on Sunday mornings, and we have a house church that's branched off of that, they do what they can. Some of the money that's donated is to buy food, and we've actually helped out with one or two of the food drives that we do. Families from the community that are struggling financially and can't afford groceries, they'll come over to our church and get a nice, decent box of food with rice and meats and canned vegetables and whatnot. And I have to say, we actually give out more at that church, at my church, than we even do at the Compassion Center, which is the ministry I mentioned. They actually at my church hand out a lot more. They have a lot more families that go over there for that.